Well, welcome back to another podcast for Sobriety 7. Today I have with me Rachel.
I'm here.
I'm so excited. Today we're going to talk a little bit about her story, get to know her better, and just talk about a couple other things around the topic of sobriety and addiction, finally eliminating the stigma around this topic. So I want to start with what your story is, where it all started, what got you to this point of 4 months of sobriety.
More, actually. I'm
More?
going on 6.
Going on 6?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Time flies by when you're in Sobriety 7.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're having fun.
When you're having fun
when you
sober.
really are having fun. But my story, it's a long one, though.
Yeah, 6 months, though. Like, what got you to this point? Like,
Oh, I was sick of my own shit.
right.
First thing's okay?
Yep.
Okay.
All good.
Because that's going to happen.
It's going to
really
happen.
But, yeah, I was sick and tired of my own shit. A DUI, not being able to hold a job, a consistent job that I was happy at. Now, like, every time I'm starting to get over the fear of when, like, my manager or any boss figure says my name, like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Like
Am I getting fired?
No, and then the staff meeting has nothing to do with me directly. So
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus. So there's that. I couldn't hold a job. My relationships with not just my boyfriend, but my family, my sister who was pregnant, well, at the time, but I was alcoholic for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
But everything, I was just sick of my own shit. Like, I was just done. And then my health was deteriorating. Gastro issues, memory. I was sleeping all the time. I went to 221 pounds and I'm 5'3".
And you lost a ton of weight now.
I lost a lot of weight, still going. But yeah, I was just tired of myself. And that's, I really do think, because I've tried to get sober before, that you have to get tired of your own shit. Like, nobody can make you do it.
Right. You feel like there's like a breaking point. Like, you just get to that point where it's like, I've done this way too many times. Now it's the time.
Yeah, like, and my child seeing it, and so I need to break this circle. I was seeing it with my own mother, which is what started my trauma. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I came to Florida when I was about 6 or 7, and my dad got custody because my mom was an addict. She didn't drink though, but she was addicted to prescription pills. She got taken out. She was a dancer, a ballerina. And she was walking along the streets, and somebody in a van drove and hit her and messed up her knees for life. So
and that's
ballet,
where it started for her?
Yeah, the addiction of painkillers, and then
insane.
Yeah, she couldn't dance like she used to. She couldn't be in the Boston Ballet.
So you remember a time your mom wasn't drinking when she wasn't doing drugs? Like, you remember like a time of her doing that?
No. This actually happened to her when she was, I think, 17, 16.
Oh, so she was young when it started, and then she had you and your sister.
Yeah, I think before me and my sister, she was, she was taking like Klonopin, anxiety medication, and like sleeping medicine. She was taking it, but she was functioning. She was actually an RN. And then she met my dad at a Halloween party, and then it hit off, and they were together for a while, and then here I am. Yeah.
Introduce Rachel.
And here I am. But yeah, and then my dad got a job offer when I was about 6 or 7, and my sister was 2 or 3, and we came to Florida. And my mom's whole side is still in Massachusetts, and they are they party. They party. That's my Irish side.
Right.
Very, very Irish. Wedding coming up possibly in a year that I'm invited to, my first sober wedding. But I think by then I'll be even at more strength to be around it. But it's going to be a challenge. But I'll face that closer to that time. But
you find weddings are like hard for you?
With that, weddings in general, but with my mom's side of the family,
it'll be
just not even just the weddings. Like, there's an after party after a party after a party after a party. Like, So, yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I want to also turn it into like a nice like trip with my son and boyfriend, and we'll explore. We'll go back to Salem and cuz I love that stuff, and you know,
Yeah.
do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, my mom was an addict. I think she may have done Klonopin while she was pregnant with me and my sister. Drank lots of caffeine and smoked cigarettes, but this was the 90s.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just got worse and got worse. She stopped working. My dad ended up there was things that happened in front of me and my sister that shouldn't have happened. She was strung out one time, and she drove a I don't know what kind of car it was. Either way, we were in the car, me and my sister. And my sister's her, what's it called?
Seatbelt?
Not seatbelt.
Car seat?
Car seat.
Yes.
With a seatbelt. So there was no seatbelt. The car seat was, she was in the car seat.
Yeah.
But my mom started going into a dumpster because she dozed off. And we were flying. So I immediately like grabbed to hold my sister so
She's
she
younger?
wouldn't fly. Yeah, my little sister's 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
And I remember holding her and holding myself, bracing myself with the chair, and we were okay. But at that moment, my dad was like, "That's it. It's a divorce. Like, we're done." So she took that even more hard. Her addiction got worse. And then she got custody. No. He got custody. God, imagine.
Give it to the mother.
I'd have such a thick Boston accent. I'd be in Boston right now. But no. Thankfully my dad got custody. My mom was not a bad person, though. She was the sweetest, most down to earth person ever. I'm a lot like her. She was actually hysterical. Life taken too soon. She just was having a lot of pain. She couldn't deal with it mentally, and the divorce really, really hurt her. And so I watched her strung out most of my life. I did a lot of taking care of my sister, like changing her diapers and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't change them properly or bathe her properly because I was like 5 or 6, but I knew the diaper was full, so I would at least take it off of her and put a new one on. But my sister, she wasn't being taken care of the way she should have. Either was I. I was young, and my dad had to work.
Yeah.
So that's where I don't remember most of my childhood. It's actually like blocked out. I don't have many memories. So I hear that's from trauma too.
Yeah, your brain.
Yeah.
It develops differently through trauma.
Yeah, so I wish I knew good memories. I mean, I have little ones, little snippets, but yeah, mainly, that kind of stuff. I was like always in like survival mode.
Right, fight or flight.
Yeah. And then my dad got custody. She went away back to Boston. That's also traumatic because I'm a little girl who needs her mom. Then I get my, menstrual cycle for the first time. What am I gonna do? My dad's sister, my auntie Cheryl, she also had an addiction problem to pills, and I do believe alcohol too. But she would be a wishy-washy aunt, but she was always there for me when she could. But she ended up passing away a few years ago. Yeah. And then my dad remarried when I was a teenager, right after my mom passed away when I was 16 years old. And my mom passed away when I was 16. So my mom passed away of an overdose. And
you witnessed that, right?
well, I was watching her die slowly. I knew something was going to happen, so I cut her off. And then 2 days after she died, I physically pushed her out of my house. And I said to her, "I never want to see you again. When you get clean, talk to me because you're killing yourself." And little did I know that was the last time I was going to actually speak to her or see her or hear her voice. And I've been working on realizing that that's not my fault.
Yeah.
I was just angry. She wasn't supposed to be in my house, actually. I was doing it behind my dad's back because I wanted to see her. She was basically homeless. She was living in a halfway house. So when my dad wasn't home, I would invite her over, but my dad did not want her over because she would go through the medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
So that was all trauma for me. And then I, turned into a teenager and I just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. And, my dad wasn't around because he had to work or he had to rest. And then he had a relationship. And then it turned into being with a woman who was just awful to my sister and me.
And what age was that? That was 16?
16, 17, yeah.
So she passed away, and you were hiding it behind your dad's back, but you wanted to see her, and then your dad remarried, and that lady was just
Nasty.
Is he still with her?
She passed away.
Oh, she also passed away. So aunt, mom, and
Oh, and my grandparents in between my mom and my mom.
so a lot of losses.
Both my grandparents.
Lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of childhood trauma.
Who they also, my dad's side who raised me, they survived the Holocaust.
Wow.
So yeah, on my dad's side. So I would hear growing up stories about that. So it was like really it's beautiful that my family survived that and to know like, but it's also like horrific to know that the woman you love, your grandma, like had to carry like logs on her back for
Right.
hours on end to the point that now she has back surgery and couldn't turn her neck.
Pretty gruesome stories for a young little girl, not like your typical good night story. It was like, so
Yeah.
grandma was in.
Yeah.
That oddly enough, that brings up a memory for me of my dad. He had me watch this like prison movie explaining to me like his experience in prison.
Oh, no.
And I'm like 9 years old, and it's like people are getting shanked and stabbed and thrown over. He's like, this is what your dad went through. And I'm like, so I didn't get like, let's watch, Wizard of Oz or, The Grinch or anything. It was like, no, so we're going to watch some like real life.
You're going to see what I went through.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, not to cut you off, but that just,
it's true.
You're talking about how like you block things out. Something that I do realize through sobriety, you get more and more memories back. And then they're random as shit. You're like, one time. Like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah. I just randomly blurted it out. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like you have experienced a lot of grief, a lot of, trauma, and then just that similarity I have with you when it comes to like I can't see you. Like I didn't see my dad the whole last year he was alive. I was like, I can't see you. But we now, growing out of our addiction, like we realize, it was never our fault and it was never our job to be their parents. It's like we were kids expecting these, two adults who brought us into this world to love us. But that's the thing through adversity. It's like, it does shapeshift you into a completely different person.
Right.
But in my opinion, right, a better, stronger, more resilient person. I don't know what my life would have looked like if I had had it easier, if I didn't face the things that I faced.
That's true. Like I'm definitely humble. I don't know if that's like I said I'm a lot like my mom, so I don't know if like I'm humble because of that or because of what I went through or both.
Right.
But
maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, and then I got with my son's father at the same age of my mom.
You were 16.
Passing. Yeah.
The one that you're with now, your partner.
No, actually, so
your son's father.
That actually is part of the story of my more drinking too. So I started after my mom died. Around the time I started dating Carlos, my son's father. My son is Gabriel. Well, I'll get back to names. But around the same time, Carlos got to meet my mom for a very short, brief time. But yes, he was there the night I got the call that my mom passed away from the halfway house. I was supposed to actually have a party. I had the Bacardi bottles, everything. I was, mind you, 16. My dad was at Susanna, my stepmom's house. And I got a call and they were like, you need to rush to Florida Medical Center right now. And I was like, it's 10:30 at night, first off. So I heard her ringtone. It was the Stewie ringtone, which I actually don't like to hear ever. That mommy. Yeah. I like, when I hear that, I'm like, shut that off. I like, please. It reminds me, it's triggering me. But yeah. So had the party and then my two old best friends were super late. They were supposed to be there at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it's 10:30 now. I'm hearing my mom's ringtone. And it's the halfway house, and they're like, you need to rush to the hospital. I don't drive yet. So I have to call my dad. My dad's like, she's probably getting Baker acted again to get more medication, or she's fine. Like, we don't need to go. And I was like, no, Dad, no. This is serious. Like, you need to drop what you're doing and take me. So he did. And I had the intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole drive there, I'm like screaming at him to just, it's a fog, but screaming to weave through traffic. And then we get there. I'm running in. Like, Carlos, my son's father, not at the time, still is his father, was with us. My dad was there. It's all a blur. I remember the nurse saying to come back into a room, and they said she didn't make it. They just looked me in the eye and said she didn't make it. I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, she had a heart attack, and we tried to resuscitate her. We put up a fight, so that's traumatic to hear. And then she didn't make it. And I just let out some, you might understand this type of yell, this scream, this cry that I've never ever done again. But it was a very intense scream, and my body weight, my knees gave out. Carlos was holding me. We were on the hospital floor. He was trying to pick me up. He said he to this day when we talk about it, he's like, I could not pick your body up. I couldn't pick your body up. And I was tiny back then. I was like 115. And my dad was crying, everything. Then they asked me, do you want to see her? I'm 16 at the time, and I was going back and forth. I was like, okay, I either see her for the last time and say goodbye, or you don't see her and live with the regret of not seeing her. So I went and saw her. That was a mistake. They didn't clean her off. She had a blanket up to here on her. She had a tube down her throat. She had dirt on her freaking face. So that's from the fight, I'm guessing. And her hair felt like yarn. And her face was like, rubbery. And I just was screaming, why? And my dad was cursing and screaming, why, Maureen, why? And then my boyfriend at the time was in the corner just crying, watching. And yeah, that happened when I was 16. So by the age of 17, when these house parties started really kicking off, I was drinking and not knowing my limits, and, not eating before drinking, and vomiting and blacking out all the time. Then it turned into like excessively doing it. Like, now I'm hiding it. I'm like not even at the age of being able to get alcohol on my own anymore. So I'm like at gas stations with $2, like asking like people going in, can you grab me a beer, the cheapest beer? And like I've almost gotten in trouble so many times doing that. But I would get my fix every day, no matter what.
Oh, so you were daily drinking at the age of 17?
By 18.
18. And that was due to the grief of your mom and the trauma that you just didn't, at the time, do you not think that you knew exactly what it was you were doing?
I thought I was just partying, and like,
it was just the cool thing
like,
to
fuck
do.
it. Like, fuck it. Like, my dad's not around right now. He's working or at Susanna's right now. And I just lost my fucking mom. So whatever. Like, I have my friends right now. They all want to get a bottle. Why not? And I don't know my limit.
Yeah.
We all don't know about it yet.
Yeah, right.
We're very young. And hanging out with older guys that we shouldn't hang out with, even though I was still with Carlos.
Yeah.
And then it just kept taking off. And by the age of 19, Carlos had moved out of his parents' house and got an apartment with his sister. And I moved in because my dad kicked me out due to my drinking.
At what age was that?
19.
19. He was like,
get the hell out.
And Susanna, your younger sister stayed? She
stayed. Jennifer is my younger sister. She was already getting fed up with my shit, though. And she's 3 years younger, so she was only 16 at the time. She was like, yo, like, you're mean, you're nasty when you're drunk, you're not the same person. Like, I was really nasty when I would drink.
So at that point, you had felt like super alone.
Yeah, so then they kicked me off to Carlos. Carlos took me in, and our relationship was super rocky. I was working like a part-time little job, and then he was now dealing with me being an alcoholic after he would come home from work. This is before our child. and I would be rip-roaring drunk. I would be drinking any type of alcohol I could get my hands on at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Driving drunk, everything. I was just out of control. And then, yeah, so things were really bad actually between us at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, we're only like 4 years now. It could have ended, but it didn't. I got pregnant.
It was rocky, but then plot twist.
Plot twist.
Pregnant.
Gabriel.
He's on his way.
Yeah, so at first I was scared. I was like, I want a family. I don't want to just have a baby to have a baby, and we're already really rocky, and I don't want to say he convinced me to have him, but he said we're going to be a family. We're going to be a family. Like, let's do this. So I did it. And then shortly after that psychotic birth story that has nothing to do with my alcoholism, that turned into me drinking again. By the time he was about 1, not even 1, I'm back out partying with my best friends and stuff like that. Either leaving Gabriel with family members. Carlos didn't really go out much with me still because he worked in the restaurant industry and actually still does. But hey, Mingo. So I would be going out a lot. So he'd either be with Carlos or a family member. And then it turned into, by the time he was about, I think, 2 years old, that I was out with a friend and I ended up getting a DUI when I was supposed to go pick up Gabriel a few hours later. Mm-hmm. So Gabriel was left at his grandmother's house, Carlos's mother, and Carlos had to get called out of work and bail me out for a DUI. Had Gabriel in the back seat. He was screaming how much of a bad mom I am, a piece of shit. We lasted about, I don't even think, a full 6 months. No, we made 2.5 months after my DUI and he left me. That was my childhood sweetheart. But at the same time, he was just around during a traumatic event in my life and I clung to him. So right. Codependency.
Yeah, trauma bond, codependency.
Which I struggle with to this day. So.
Which one? Trauma bond, codependency.
Both.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay.
But yeah, so from that point on, I just kept drinking. Then it got really bad again.
And he's 10 now, so from
11.
He's 11, so that was the 10 years you were drinking.
11, 10 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Plus before that.
So after Carlos, yes, before that, right? 16, then Dad kicked you out. You had 4 years with Carlos. Relationship was rocky. You had your son. And then as soon as he was born, you were right back out to partying.
Yeah.
Got a DUI. You guys separated. And you feel like trauma bond and codependency is something that you still struggle with?
Oh, yeah. I'm so codependent on, well, the more sober I get, the more I'm enjoying my own time. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, though, I was like, why doesn't anyone want to hang out with me? And like all that. I'm like crying all the time. Now I'm not crying all the time. I mean, I cry, but not like how in the beginning. Oh my God.
It's like just overwhelming amount of emotions that have been suppressed for like 15 years. So.
Yeah, so it was intense. The beginning was intense. I went through everything with the loss of sleep and gastro stuff, regulating, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, your body's really recalibrating itself. Like it's trying to figure it out.
It did. And yeah, so kept drinking. And then Carlos left. Also left me with the apartment that I'm still in. So I will be out of there in April. Mark my words.
Okay.
Mark my words.
Okay. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I want to get out of there.
Okay.
But yeah, kept drinking in between being single. Had 2 super abusive relationships, not real relationships, in between Carlos and the boyfriend I'm with now.
And you guys have been together how long?
7.5 years.
Okay. 7.5 years, but you've been in the same apartment for like the 15 years? 10?
No, not the 15.
No, that was how long I was drinking. 10, 8,
9.
9 years, and so you're ready to get the hell out of there.
So much bad shit happened in there.
Yeah, so it's much. Like it doesn't feel like a new place where you're doing a new journey of your life. And I think
No.
that's so important. Like when I moved to this
Yeah.
apartment, I was sober.
Yeah, so I need that.
It doesn't, make or break it. You can get sober in the place, but it helped having no memories tied to, like, I have memories tied to this fucking couch,
Yeah.
but not the house itself.
You could do. Yeah.
So, yeah, having a new space, new environment, right? And then I like how you were saying that as you get sober, you're enjoying more of time with yourself. Like you're being able to be self-sufficient, because I do think that alcohol really enables you to, you feel like shit, so you want somebody else to fill that void of you feeling like shit. You're like, oh, they make me feel good, but if they're mad at me, now I'm gonna drink.
Yeah.
And it's just like this,
a ripple effect. It's constant.
Yeah.
And the shame the next day, like, what did I say to you?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
so
I'm
sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or call you a piece of shit.
Yeah, I didn't mean that when I said that.
I didn't mean to.
That wasn't me, it was the alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hate when people say when you're drunk the truth comes out. I'm like, not for me.
Mm-mm.
Not for me. I called some people some names that I did not mean.
I was like a baby assassin. I would just fucking
like, who the hell did I think I was? I really thought that I was like going to take on the world. Like, I was going to fight anyone.
I was a 50-50 split. It was either like I was so much fun and bouncing around and super peppy, but would pass out regardless, like, or blackout. Or I was just like, just the worst fucking person to, just wasn't me. Like, neither version were me. Like, I am peppy and spunky, but like not for the amount of hours that I was drinking.
No,
like, you think your social battery goes less, but it's like, no, it's like you only have so much energy in a day. Like, it's not normal to be staying out for 5-6 hours.
I know.
Dancing and like
sitting at a table
just for like 7 hours. Like, wow, like we've been here for 7 hours.
Yeah, it's normalized. It's completely normalized. Brunch is normalized. Grabbing drinks after work is normalized. Mm-hmm. Having wine at a girls' night with wine, normalized. Yeah. Painting with a twist, normalized. Like, so I don't know. I mean, hopefully one day. From what I hear, the new generation, I can't keep up with the names. We're millennials, right?
Gen Z is taking a turn. Yes, they're vaping a lot more, but they're drinking a lot less because they're looking at their grandparents, they're looking at their parents, they're looking at their older siblings, and like,
I don't want to do this.
You know what? I'm really good. And the cool thing about social media is that, it's eliminating the stigma around talking about mental health. And I think that mental health is a really big part of addiction, right? And when your brain has been through childhood trauma, you have been through some, lonely times, and you haven't developed the skills or the tools it takes to be able to sit in those emotions. You're like, I was crying for like a while. Like that it gets better though. Like you do get to a point where you do stop crying every single day. Like I almost said, I was like, I think my tears dried up.
Yeah, I was like surprised that they were able to still like accumulate out of my tear ducts.
But you're like, when you're in it, you're like, it's never going to end. Like, it's never going to get better. But it does. Mm-hmm. It really does. And you're 6 months in. Like, that's insane. Like, to go from 10.5 years to being like, I'm 6 months. Like, I'm figuring it out. Sure, life isn't perfect every single day. But, like, you're here. You're doing it. Like, it proves that you can do it.
Yeah, and trust me when I say, like, if I could do it, like, anybody could. Because I was using any excuse to drink. Like, bad day at work, drink, got fired, really gonna drink. Something good happened, drink. Yeah. Oh, brunch, okay, unlimited mimosas, yes.
Yeah, you just had your birthday and you're like, that was what I was used to.
Yep, going to brunch.
You did a sober birthday.
I did do one.
And how was the sober birthday?
That was very different. Mm-hmm. That was very different. I don't want to say it was lonely. It was just eye-opening, I guess you could say. Like, I mean, like, Snapchat stories and Google pictures came up, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, something that came up, like, from 4 years ago when my boyfriend got me a hotel and decked it out. But I took a picture of the fridge, and it had 4 champagne bottles, me to the head. This was not with friends. Mm-hmm. This was for the weekend for me. Yeah. And that moment. And then I think he got like a 6-pack of like the normal little tiny champagnes, I guess, for me to walk around with. I don't know what that was for. A whole case of beer for him. And then I think that was it. And then throughout the time we were out, I was also getting drinks. So I was like, oh my God, like, how did I wake up like okay the next day? I remember actually how hungover I was. And it was just an ongoing drinking cycle. You wake up, drink.
Yeah, so you
Like,
never actually stop and feel how shitty you feel.
my
Because
God,
if you stop, it's like,
my
this
head.
is
Let me
game
go open
over.
another champagne bottle.
Yeah,
My
it's like
head hurts.
Gatorade, shitty food, followed with like TV, drawing the shades. Like,
Yeah.
I just look and I did that. I did it so much.
Yep.
I did it so much to the point where I was like, why? Like, now being out of it, I was like, how can I not? And this is not me like all high and mighty on sobriety train, but it's like, seriously, like, how did I not see it? Like, there was somewhat of an awareness, but like, never enough of awareness for me to not justify it anyways. Like, yes,
Yeah.
there was like a crazy addiction to it. It was very normalized with my father because all he did was he would wake up and he would drink. Like, I don't know how that
Yeah.
guy made it to 56. Like, I don't know. The dude drank every single day. Like, it was just normal for his breath, his aroma to smell like that. But you had said something a while back about seeing your mom at the hospital, and I had that same option to drive up to San Diego and see him, and my mom was like, don't see him, Shy. Don't do it. And I was like, Mom, like, you don't know what you're talking about. She's like, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, his soul is long gone. Like, that's not him anymore. Because, and that was the day that I really realized, like, these are just our vessels, our meat suits, our vehicles. Like, they're just the thing. Like, when people like, oh, I am so fat, I am so this, I am so, it's like, no, you are not those things. It's like, you are the soul, the person inside of you. Like, are you a good person or are you not? Are you someone you admire or are you not? Like,
exactly.
It's kind of identifying like who you are in the core, not your exterior. Because this thing doesn't matter. When you're gone, it doesn't matter. But the connections you make, the souls you touch, the soul you build, like, do you build a soul? I don't know. Does it get bigger?
You are a soul.
You are a soul.
Oh, can you like build your soul?
Yeah, because they say like, oh, you're an old soul, meaning that our souls at some point, you know, we get
used to be in the 1950s.
Yeah, it's like I'm an old soul. Like, I've been here before. Like, I guess reincarnation, but it's like, you know, I don't want to get too off topic, but like my mind can go.
I could go there. Yeah.
I'm like, what? There's no way that this is it, right? It's like maybe our brains get wiped clean, but our soul is something that gets passed on.
Maybe.
Right?
It would be a cool thought.
Like, do you ever get signs from your mom? Like, do you ever like have any feelings or sensations that like she's with you?
Unfortunately, I don't. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I am kind of into like medium stuff. I'm into that. So I've spoke to about 2 since 2008. I don't know if they're full of shit or not.
Yeah, but, I don't know.
But both of them and a therapist has told me that you seem so angry at your mom still, and you seem like you're harboring so much guilt that once you let that go, you will start feeling signs there's a block up in the spiritual world.
Right.
So I have not really had signs from her. I don't really feel her.
Right. And do you feel like, if you were to be honest with yourself, like, do you feel like a part of you is angry at her?
Oh, yeah.
And why do you feel like you're angry at her?
Even though I kind of get it because I'm sober now, so I get it. It wasn't a personal thing. This was something she was dealing with, and it wasn't because of me. I get that part, but I'm just angry. You had me, and you gave me a really fucking horrible life. Like, I was alone my whole life. I had no mother figure. I still don't. And I don't know. I just can't let go of it.
Right.
So I want to, though. I'm slowly letting go of it. But yeah, I want to let go of it because I do want to feel signs. So
yeah. And what age was she when she had you?
36.
Okay, so she was older than the 17 injured as a ballerina, worked as an RN, and then she picked up the addiction. And so you're angry with her because you feel as if she gave you a shitty life.
Yeah, she could have given me more. I mean, her half of her family is so successful. Like, one of my aunt, I think, is like an accountant who's retired. Another one is a lawyer. she may be retiring soon. I'm not sure. And a few of my other, aunts and uncles in Boston, they're all, successful. So like,
Was she the youngest of 8 or the oldest?
she was the middle child
She
out
was
of,
middle.
yeah, she was the middle one, I think fourth or fifth.
And do you feel like she ever felt like pressure to be successful like her siblings?
I don't know if she got that. Maybe she did, but she was definitely she was the rebel of the 8. My
Mm-hmm.
mom would be like in the back of Catholic school, like smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. She would beat up men. Like my
Mm-hmm.
mom was a tough cookie.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I don't know. I don't know. But I do think that's what trickled into everything. And
Right.
there was not drinking in my household, really. I think I saw my dad intoxicated from alcohol, like at a wedding once.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, who raised me. So, there was really no alcohol in my house.
Yeah.
So, why that was the drug of choice, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I only saw my mom drunk one time, and I remembered the day like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird. She was like laying on people's lawns. We were trying to walk to my sister's
Oh, that's.
baseball game. She was like, spell Wednesday, because I couldn't spell for shit. And she's like, I'm not leaving this grass until you spell Wednesday.
Wednesday's kind of a hard one.
It is. It's like, well, Wednesday. And she's like, spell it, Wednesday. So what do you feel like it would take for you to be able to forgive her? Is it like a certain point of understanding? Is it time? Is it, what do you think, if you were to like dive deep into that, would it be?
Level of understanding, which I'm getting.
From sobriety?
Yeah.
Just like more being able to put yourself in her shoes.
Yeah, it's more so like putting myself in her shoes, and then also, you know, I want to help people. And I'm getting sober not just for me and not for my child, but also to show her, because she couldn't do it. I don't want to call her weak,
Yeah.
but she wasn't strong enough to give up her addiction.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be her voice.
Right.
So in a sense, like, yes, I'm angry at her, but at the same time, I understand her. I get it. Life isn't easy. And then she came back to Florida with nothing because she wanted to be near me and my sister. And my dad would hardly let her because she was an addict and she was homeless. So it's like, that must have been a very depressing life. I mean, she could have gotten better, but she took the other route.
Yeah.
Or she should have just stayed in Boston and got help. Like,
yeah.
But she went to many rehabs, and it was her time. She wasn't happy here on Earth.
I think it was a lot harder for our parents' generation to get the help that they wanted, because the things that were available for them, there's a lot more on the up and up for mental health and talking about it, whereas our parents learned from their grandparents, which were sweep it the fuck under the rug. You're crying, you want something to cry. Like, that was my dad's favorite line. I was crying. He's like, you want something to cry about? I saw a meme. It was like, I'm pretty sure I died at age 7 and my mom told me to walk it off. I'm like, I've never related to something more in my life because
true.
I feel like I would just walk it off. But I don't think that because I hear you when you're like, I don't want to call her weak, but I have called my dad weak, because I'm like, yes, what he's gone through, it was hard, right? And that's the thing, pain is subjective. But I remember calling him weak because I'm like, he could have figured it out. But then I was like, realistically, if you don't know something like Sobriety 7, or like if you don't know like something where there's people who are willing to listen and hear you exist, because I remember him trying AA, a couple times, but he always talked about how much he didn't like it. He's like, I don't fucking want to go there. Like, he's like, everybody's just like so fucking mean to me. Like, whether or not he was being a little fucking crybaby.
They're overly nice.
Yeah. And it's just like he was just in a different time, I think. But I try to make sense of it a lot, but I put myself in his shoes. And he came, homeless too, from Oregon to California right when he got out of prison. He like pulled up in a van. He was like, this is my house. I'm like, and he like decked it out. He had like little bins.
Okay. I mean,
and he
that's
was like,
positivity.
had a mattress back there. And he's like, isn't this cool, guys? Like, come over to my house, like AKA my van. And I was like, yeah, he'd always bring me hot Cheetos, and he always brought grape soda. So I had good memories of him. I just wish that he were a more present parent. But if I were to really look at it, had he been the father I needed him to be, I wouldn't be this version of myself.
No, for sure.
So that's what helped me forgive him, was the, realization that it's like, I wouldn't be this person. Yeah. Maybe I'd be a different version. Maybe it would be better. Maybe it would be worse. I don't know.
No, we won't.
This version, I'm pretty all right with. And I always tell you, and I tell the girls, like, I'm glad that I had an addiction
Yeah.
because it brought up so many other things I could be aware of. I'm like, well, I low-key have a food addiction. I'm like, okay, I'm like binge watching TV shows. Like, when I got sober, I was binge watching Vanderpump Rules, which is some
Okay.
like trash TV show.
I like 90 Day Fiance, so I get it.
I was just binge watching it, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And then there was this girl, Lala Kent, and she was, I watched 10 seasons in like 2 months or something, like crazy, like maybe a month.
I get it.
I was insane. I'm like, how did I what?
Like, why did I do that?
And then in the 5th season to 8th season or something, she got sober, and I liked Lala's character, right? And her character, that's a real ass person, right? And I was like, if she could get sober, like, Lala's a dipshit, but like, she's not a dipshit. But at the time, I was drinking while watching the show, so I was being spiteful and mean. And I was like, if she could do it, like, I can do it. And that was right around when I got sober. I was watching a fucking reality TV show.
Hey,
so
people
many
inspire
reasons.
people.
They do.
So.
And that's why, like, you telling your story and, like, seeing that you're at 6 months, like, and I know you have the want and desire to help other people, whether that's through, like, mentorship, coaching, whatever it is to uplift other people. I think that that's super fucking awesome. And I think that that's incredible because I don't think it gets better than peer support, right? When you're talking to somebody who gets it and can relate and hears you and understands, it changes everything, right? Because I had gone to therapy and it was nice. Like, I think therapy is super awesome.
Yeah.
But I really like the aspect of group therapy because I like to hear other people's stories. Like, when you're talking, I'm like, I feel like I know you deeper.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I always just imagine, like, like, sitting in front of me, like, a smaller version of you, like, a little 8-year-old version of you. I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened to her that went through all that tragedy, those trying moments, but that led you to this person that's sitting in front of me today, which is incredible.
Yeah, and that goes back to, like, I remember being a sad child, and when I look at pictures, I'm not smiling, and it's actually heartbreaking because I'll look at it and I'll be like, I was 9 here, and oh my God, I was going through this at the time, and you could see it in my eyes. So I'm like, wow. So all I could do is just recreate my life. Like, there's nothing I can do. I can't, like, yeah, I'm going to have my days and cry and be upset about my past, but I could only move forward, build new memories. I lost a decade with my child. I'll never, and I'm not going to cry, I'll never get back him being 2, 3, 4, or 5. I will never get that back. But I could build new memories now with him that he's 11, but I'll never get my firstborn back as a young child to build those memories and remember bath time and stuff like that.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah, that's something I have guilt with still. Fortunately, I stopped at a good enough age where he's noticing it. He actually tells me he's proud often. And I'm going to keep it that way. But, those little cute memories you don't get back. So if there's anyone out here struggling with that too, if you have a child or a young child, cherish those moments when you're sad with your sobriety, because I didn't do it and he's 11 now. So now I get to enjoy teenage years, which is great. But that little young boy, I don't remember much. But time to build new memories. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
That's all I could do.
But he's such a sweet, I haven't even met him, like, he's so sweet. Like, he's so cute and sings and dances, just like hysterical. I'm sure he gets it from you.
Yes.
And you might have missed those years, right? But one, I'm sure he forgives you if he even has any record,
Yeah,
if he even recognizes that was a thing. But also, addiction is insane. I had a partner who I still, you met him, love him to pieces. But I chose alcohol more often than I chose him.
Yeah.
Did so that too. You can love and I love him so much, but alcohol makes you selfish. Alcohol pulls you away from the things that are good and pure. And why? Because they don't call it spirits for no reason.
Yep.
It's like it's taking you away from your spirit. It's distancing you
Yep.
from reality.
Yeah.
And in your head, you believe that reality is, oh, it's getting fucked up and it's disappearing and it's life's too hard. Life's a lot harder when you're not present.
Yeah.
Life's a lot harder when you disappear from the person that you are. And when you wake up one morning and you don't know who it is you are, that's hard. Because I remember avoiding doing my makeup some days because I'm like, until I'd get fucked up. And then I'd be like, look at myself in the mirror like, right? Mm-hmm. But I'd wake up and I'm like, not fucking doing that today. Because every time I looked at myself, I'm like, you know you're doing bad things. You know you're hurting the people around you. And Lou was becoming more and more aware, right? I don't say he was a child, but like he had a mind of a child when it came to like substance abuse. Yeah, because he was like, he didn't know when I was fucked up. He was just like, oh, she's just being acting silly. Different and being silly. I'm like, no, I was wasted. Like, remember this day, remember this day, remember. He's like, you were drinking when we jumped out of an airplane? I'm like, I sure was.
Oh my God, you were.
And
you signed something that you can't do that.
Yeah, I signed a lot of things.
I would have done that too.
And I went to a shooting range 2 hours before we jumped out of a plane, which I was drinking. I went to jump out of an airplane, drinking. And it was like whatever I could get at a 7-Eleven because I was with his family and his parents. I was like, so I got like a big ass bottle of Pinot Grigio.
That was my drink and before I quit.
Chugging it in the car. And then
How did they not know?
Because they were inside signing papers and waivers.
Oh, every time.
I just threw it back and I was like,
but then
I feel so fucking sick. I'm like, if I just stomach it and don't throw up, I'll be fine. Jumping out of an airplane, going to a shooting range, like just stupid things. And that makes me more, as I got more sober, I got more like
cringe,
aware and conscientious of the world. Because I'm like, if I were able to do that and get away with it, like, who else is doing these stupid things?
It's terrifying.
It really is. Like, I've done countless stupid things, but to pull it back to what my initial thing was is, although you feel that guilt, that mom guilt, that shame, it's like you're doing the actionable step that I wish my dad did, that I know that you wish your mom did.
Oh, yeah.
But we are the ones who are breaking it. It's going to feel a lot harder and more like, oh, my God, like, this is so much on me. But Tony Robbins says it best. Like, if you're going to, be mad at your parents for the things that they weren't, also thank them. Like, thank them for not being what they needed to be because, like I said, we wouldn't be this version. And sure, it took you 10 years. It took me 10 years. Like, it took me time to realize, like, I wish, like, when I look at the Annas or the Kaylas of the group, I'm like, fuck, if I would have figured this out at 23, I would be light years away. But everybody's chapter, right? We have girls in the community starting at 46, or you have Carolyn 60. It's like everybody's journey starts at a different place.
No, you're doing like, and I know you get messages like this daily, and like your followers are going up, which I'm gonna help out. But no, but for real, like you really like, I did the AA thing. It's not for everyone. Did I even tell you my story of what happened with that? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. So I was going to AA. I think it was the first, I made it to 90 days and I was getting the chips. And I'm not knocking anybody on here who I'm going to look at the camera that is in AA or, love somebody who's in AA.
I always say, I'm like, hey, what works for you works for you. It's not how you get sober. It's why you get sober.
Well, I was programmed to being told by even some family members, like, AA, it's worked for so many years, it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
No. The people in there to me were culty, and I went through a situation. I made a friend. She's about my age. She has an 11-year-old son. She was newly sober. Something was fishy about her. I did smell alcohol. It smelled like vodka distinctly on her breath. And then she would use the old line, I used mouthwash. Bro, that has alcohol in it. So you're going to intensify it. So, great, you're going to AA and you're my new friend and you're probably still drinking. She was like going into recovery and stuff like that. She's like just out of recovery and she's had health issues and all this. So one time I call her to go over and she pulls out a bottle of vodka. She's my AA friend. I needed a sober friend. And I was already talking to you, but I think I was in the free community at first. And this is when I had a relationship issue. It all happened within that 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And I let you know about it. And you were like, look, I really want to help you. And
Yeah.
got me into the actual community, which literally has helped me. But this AA person, I'm not mentioning names or anything, she tried to get me very intoxicated. And I had a little hiccup.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little hiccup. Big hiccup. Burp.
It takes a sip.
That was an anxiety sip. No. I that hiccup turned into something severe. I don't know how much I drank. While I was there, she acted sober. I don't remember much of this. Called all the old timers from AA and had me have an intervention.
Mm.
I don't know what to call that. If that was like bullying or what that was about, what she got out of that.
Mm-hmm. Weird.
I blocked her immediately. I got home safe. She drove my car though, but she got me home, helped me get upstairs to my boyfriend who was trying to get me all those hours, and she would not give the information to my boyfriend where I was. So he was a big safety net during my when I would be under the influence and I would start freaking out. I would yell for John, my boyfriend, because he always keeps me safe, but kept me safe when I was drunk because he was sober and he would take care of me because I would get into some serious shit drunk always, either legal trouble or like I would hurt myself or I would be lost. Lost was the big one.
Yeah.
But I have to thank him also on here. He took care of me and my child and my apartment and kept me having my car for 2 years. 2 years before I quit. And even though we have our issues that we're working on, he really I don't know what I would have done the past 2 years without him. I really do love him. I love you.
She's
but
like, I'm gonna show you this video later.
Oh, I told him he's watching the podcast. He's like, I want to.
Obviously,
like,
I love you.
I was like, well, if you didn't support me, we wouldn't be together, right? Yeah. Right. But yeah, no, but I don't know where exactly that was leading to. But Sobriety 7 has helped me in so many ways. I'm on, at work, I check Sobriety 7 as much as possible. But I'm on the app all the time. I'm on Sobriety 7's page all the time. I'm watching your stuff all the time. And I just want to help others too. So, if you're not already a Sobriety 7 sister and you're somehow watching this podcast, if you're sober curious, I said this in something she posted, or you don't know what to do, or you just support us. Follow her page, because not only is it just a platform for you to join and to get help, but it's knowledgeable. Like alcohol is poison. Alcohol is poison. Not just in the long run. Like, why do you think you stumble? Why do you slur your words? Do you think that's okay? Do you think it's okay that even after you brush your teeth a few hours later, it's regurgitating out of your breath still?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that is okay? Like, these are all health things, and you have to take care of your body because it's your shelf. It's your robot. It's going to keep you going. Like, if you want to knock years, months out of your life because you decided to just binge drink, unfortunately, that's your choice.
Absolutely.
But if you need the help, she's here. And
we're here.
I was just about to say, the whole
here.
community is here, and everybody's a message away. Everybody's so friendly, so nice.
Yeah.
And I made friends immediately. I cannot wait for this retreat.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be very probably hormonal and crying. But yeah, no, it's
I'm
gonna be
waiting
nice.
for the dog pile that Avery promised. She's like, we're all gonna dog pile Cheyenne. I'm like, bring it on. But that's the thing. Like, I want when you said like, oh, she can help you. Like, like that's the thing. Sobriety 7 is not me.
It's a we. Yeah.
It's a community. And you had mentioned that like you have, you're getting so many followers. And I only like having the followers because I'm just hoping that the content that I am, really putting my heart and soul into is helping somebody to some degree.
It is.
But the amount of people who follow is not I think that's why it's growing.
That's why.
Because I'm not focused. It's like if you want something, your attention can't be focused on like, I have to get that. It's like, do all the work around it and you will have whatever it is you desire.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to be happy. It's like, do the work that's behind it, right? Eat good food, go to the gym, work on journaling, meditating, being present with yourself, showing up for yourself, filling your cup. Like, work on that. Yeah. And I guarantee you will be happy.
Seriously,
right?
though.
It's like being happy is not something that it's like, oh, I'm just going to go and buy something for myself or, go on a vacation. It's like those things, like they will make you momentarily happy, but the long term, that effect subsides. Like I can say that I wake up every day relatively happy. Some days are like pretty hard because I'm just like either emotional or like just my cycles fluctuate, my moods. But I wake up happy because I'm doing the thing that I set out to do, and that is the most rewarding thing. And it's not always glamorous. I don't wake up every day and get all glitz and glam because I have a friend coming over. But, some days I wake up and I look like I roll out of bed. I'm like, my highlight this morning is going to be singing Christmas music in the midst of September. Why? Because I don't care. So, we are Sobriety 7. It started with just me, but my intent was to just help one person. And then I found Brooke, and then it just blossomed, and it grew, and it continued to grow. And it hasn't even been a year of Sobriety 7 yet, where it's just like, I don't know where Sobriety 7 is going to be in the next 5 years, but I'm just so excited to
I can't imagine.
Help so many people. And these retreats, just keep them, because I want everyone to meet. I want sobriety to be the new cool thing, because it should be cool to be taking care of yourself. It should be cool to be taking care of your body. It should be cool to be present and to be in a joyous moment. We don't need alcohol right now to be enjoying this conversation.
Imagine.
We don't need alcohol to go to Rose Cafe and get coffee and have a good time. We're just here being present, talking about things that truly matter. Therefore, we're both being mentally stimulated. And when people aren't being mentally stimulated, they turn to alcohol because like, oh, well, if I just shut my brain off, I'll have fun. If I just shut my brain off, I'll accept or tolerate this person. It's like, no. Like,
it was, there were just so many moments that I really thought like, hey, let me pregame before I go have endless mimosas.
Yeah.
And then we're probably going to go back to my friend's house where there's a bottle. Girl, by the time I'm either falling asleep,
especially
mid-brunch.
mimosas. Like mimosas always
and
make me
kept
tired.
it coming, and like before, I would like chug it quickly so they would come back and refill it.
Yeah, it's like, how much do we think that our bodies can actually hold?
Why are you guys allowing this?
I can't drink like more than 3 waters in an hour, but for some reason, I'm like, how did I drink 3 drinks in like 20 minutes? 10. I was like 20 minutes. Rachel's like, fucking pussy. 10.
No, I was psychotic. I'd be like, take a shot now. Drop what you're doing. Let's go.
It's like just trying so hard to escape your reality, but if you're not, it's like you don't know what you don't know. At the time when I was doing it, I didn't really, to a degree I did. I was like, I know I'm trying to like escape my shit, but I didn't have that verbiage like, oh, I'm trying to run from all the things that have been shitty in my life, rather than being like, look at all those things that were shitty and they're very much a part of you. So I always talk about Inside Out too. I literally just watched it the other day for like the 5th time.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's like all those things that joy pushed into the subconscious mind, like joy had told anxiety, like, hey, you don't get to choose who Riley is. Anxiety is an emotion, right?
Yeah.
And then anxiety tells joy, hey, you don't get to decide who Riley is. And joy was putting memories that were good or bad in the back of her mind. But then the subconscious mind broke that wall and it went into her stream of thought. And then it made her be like, oh, I'm jealous or I'm scared. I asked for help, but I'm a good person. Like, I'm not good enough. Like, all of these things, make the person that you are. You decide which part of yourself you listen to. And the more you try to fight it and push it away, the more you black out parts of your life. So it's just, accepting it and being like, yeah, like that happened. And you know what? I love Jen's line, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine. Like, not anybody, I don't think anybody has it figured out. I think we're all just trying to fucking figure out how to be the best person that we can. And it's hard with the temptations and, you know, like just the world and people around you to not get influenced to do bad things, like to really stay true to your morals and to your beliefs. And getting clear on what those are. Like, what are your beliefs? What are your core values? Like, what do you want out of life? What are your goals? We were talking about this morning. You're like, I don't know, like 10 years.
In 10 years.
But I know 6 months. And that's the thing. Like, start with baby steps. Like, what's your next goal for the next 30 days? 60 days. Okay, you could think further than that. What's 90 look like? What's 6 months? When I started Sobriety 7, I was like, help one person? I don't know. And then it's like multiple people now. And I'm like, okay, like, that just shows like I was dreaming too small. Like I can dream bigger, but that's for you to figure out through going through. You can't just go from being drunk all the time to doing nothing to be like, you know what? I'm going to create a whole ass community.
How many months were you when you decided to do that? Because I saw that before, right?
Yeah, it was like 3-4 months.
That's inspiring. And you know,
July, August, September, October, November. Yes, it was right at the end of my 4 months.
That's inspiring because ironically, my therapist, my childhood therapist, was at AA with me. And the same, it was so weird.
Like, was it my stories that got you here?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Yeah, like, did I fuck you up? But she walks up to me and I don't know if this was her way of like, in a cult sense, being like, stay in AA.
Yeah.
But she was like, I don't recommend therapy the first year of sobriety. And she's my old therapist. I just stopped going to her for insurance purposes. So now I'm like taking that and I'm at AA. So I'm like taking that into consideration. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like now I'm like, absolutely not. I'm going to therapy. I have a mentor. I'm part of, Sobriety 7, and I got into fitness and I'm doing great. Yeah. Better than actually having that. You need to learn the book, you need to learn the promises, you need to learn the steps, you have to sit with your sponsor and call her every day you have to call her.
Seems like at one addiction to a next, but
yes,
that's the thing. My old mentor, he had told me, is like, never take advice from somebody who's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
So when you look at somebody who's giving you financial advice and you're like, okay, but like, is this person financially where they should be or want to be? No. Oh, this person's telling you relationship advice, and it's like, I've been divorced 3 times.
Like, I'm not doing well with my
You may have some things on, some advice on what not to do, but as for what to do, I'm going to go elsewhere. But that's the thing. It's like, it's up to you to take people's advice, right? But I do look at that, because a lot of people are going to try to, like, you should do this. You know how many people told me to fucking not start? You know how many people told me to not move to Florida? You know how many people told me, like, oh, be careful, like, you get better before you help people? I'm like, if I have the capacity and the want and the desire and the heart to do so, I don't really need you to tell me I can or can't do it. And if anything, that's more ammunition for me to just, like...
I'm getting that a lot from... no names, but
not mentioning the name again.
You'll know who you are watching this, though. Sorry, but from a very important family member to me, and also when I talk about it too to some people, they kind of do the whole like quiet thing and go like, and you can tell that that's what they're thinking, kind of like, oh, like shouldn't you? Yeah. Shouldn't you like wait? You could tell. But then there are people that are like, hell yeah, your testimony is going to save so many people. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then I like talked to my therapist yesterday. I mentioned how I want to become a life coach. And she's like, it's really like, you should really try to just finish and get your bachelor's and master's and become a therapist in it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that much schooling, and that's going to be stressful, and I have to work and have a child. That's a lot. I don't want to drink again.
I believe that humans are, so knowledgeable, and especially coming from it, like, of course, like, schooling helps tremendously, right? But with the way of the world, there's so many online courses, there's so many YouTube, there's so many like there's just so much knowledge out there, right? So if you're not mindlessly scrolling and you're actually studying something, and most importantly, you have the want, you have the desire, and your heart is in it, like, that circles back to Instagram. Like, I give two shits about how many followers I have. I really do. But I have the heart to put out so much value because I'm like, I want the person, because when I was getting sober, the only person that I was able to like look to was, his name was Sober Sammy. And I watched his content. I just thought he was amazing. I was like, look how fucking, he was all like dozing out and like doing the nods. And I remember watching Sober Sammy and I was like, that was right when the plant, that was 2019, Sober Sammy. And there wasn't many like sober pages. My algorithm wasn't shooting it out. Like, I was like, I'm gonna make an Instagram for the people like me who don't want to see all these cheesy, like, you can do it, like, keep going. Like, I want to see the real shit. I want to see somebody fuck their life up and get it back together.
Your videos, I think, you came up in my algorithm early in sobriety, because I got sober in April. I followed you immediately, but I was like looking at the videos you would post of you under the influence, and I'd be like, that was me, the stumbling around, like falling asleep at a restaurant.
Yeah,
like,
you said the dancing one where you try to dance your way
and then you like play it off.
I'm not actually wobbly.
Yeah, but it's like,
no, but
yeah, you are, honey.
And then you see the video of it, and you're like,
I wish I had more content, as much as I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I wish I had, and I lost so much in my Google drives getting a new phone, but I wish there was more content of me where I could make videos like that too.
Yeah.
But I don't have it because
I've
maybe it's a good thing.
Always filmed everything from as young as I can remember. My very first little green camera at Christmas, waterproof. I took that thing everywhere. Like, I was always the camera girl. Everyone knew that. I had the pic, and I definitely got that from my mom. Like, she took pictures.
Awesome.
She'd always make us take like 10 to 15 pictures everywhere we go. She's like, "Okay, everyone get together," and we're like, I loved it. I was like, let's do it.
Memories.
I would have like little photo shoots with my mom. Like, I remember photos being like a good thing because, like, I always wanted the memory. I always wanted to be able to look back. So I became a fanatic. I took pictures of fucking everything.
But who was it Lou videotaping you when you were like like stumbling, that stumbling video?
No, a lot of those were all my friends. Lou has only one drunk video of me, and it's in the shower. Yeah, he only has one.
Oh, damn.
And it was in the shower when I was just like, praying to God, like, please, like, take me out of my fucking
like a bad video.
Yeah, like, he was like, I want you to be able to look back at this one day and be like,
John might have something like that of me.
And that obviously never got posted. And honestly, I'm just like, oh my God.
Well, maybe if you could edit it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's
put
really
a big old
epic.
emoji over me.
Do you want to be like this?
Yeah. I'm like, this was a very rough part of my life. But we were rocky because I was so in my masculine energy. Being in fight or flight will do that. And he wasn't in a feminine, but he obviously wasn't in the main role of masculinity because his father was very second. He wasn't the head of the house. It was like his mom was the head of the house.
Oh.
Like, his mom was like, she worked, like, his dad had injured his back. So, like, Lou's representation of, like, your traditional man, whatever. Like, I still am like, you had a father who fucking loved you. Like, lucky you. But he sees it differently. But he was, learning to be the man that he wanted to be. He wasn't given an example, just like I wasn't given an example of, like, what a woman should be like in this world. How does she respect her man and, still, like, be a good person. And I was just trying to figure out life. He was trying to figure out life. We almost broke up moving to Florida because of we were clashing. It was basically having two dudes together. Like, he wanted to be the man, and I was like, I am the man.
Right.
I was like, good fucking getting me stepped down? No. But then I realized, I'm like, what do I value more? It's like my relationship or my ego and my pride. I'm like, fuck ego, pride, like, throw that out the window.
Yeah.
But I still had to learn, and alcohol made it very hard to learn. I'd be soft and elegant, and then I'd throw back 12 tequila shots, and then I was like, fuck you, like, get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah.
But then I would wake up in the morning, I'd try to be all doing that cutesy soft shit, and then I'm like, he's like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah.
So we had a very rocky, first couple of years, but now he and I are like, we're like, I was about to say brother and sister.
But I understood that.
Like, so close, the bond is so close, but not brother and sister.
But I get that.
But like best
John's
friends.
my brother.
Yeah, like best friends, like
We're besties that are intimate, that are brothers and sisters.
That are not. So we're clear. But he's like my best friend. But it took us a very long time and a lot of growth and a lot of work, a lot of, reading separate books, but at the same time applying things. So you like working on so much. But what saved our relationship in a whole is me finally stopping drinking. Like, that is what just like got us to be, hey, brother and sister. But
actually, I think that's what's saving me and John. I mean, other than other issues that I don't want on the podcast, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like we are getting better due to me not drinking anymore. Oh my gosh, like he would come home from working like 10-hour shifts. Like he's a mechanic, and I would be sloshed, not holding a job, like having to cook dinner. If the dog pissed on the floor, has to clean that up. The litter boxes, because he likes to save animals.
Mm-hmm.
I have one cat, Jasmine. But shout out Jasmine. Litter boxes, the fridge would be full of oh my god, I remember this one story. 2 days sober, and I wanted everything to be, because I'm a overachiever.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the house to be decluttered.
Mm-hmm.
The fridge was one of the tasks. I went on such a rampage, rage, screaming, irritable, which is normal. I was sweating. I was 2 days sober, and I was screaming at Gabriel, like, to just take down the bags. So it was 3 bags, garbage bags full of old food in the fridge and stuff like that. Meaning that was for leftovers. For months, the fridge was going bad. But at first I was pissed off. How could John allow this? How could I? And then I'm thinking to myself, he's working, he's coming home, he's having to cook dinner because I'm passed out. Like, if Gabriel had to take a shower and I didn't already tell him to, he is doing that. So it was, I put that man through a lot.
Yeah.
And he stuck by me. But I just can't imagine just that rage that I felt. I was going off on my child. I'll never forget his face. But after it stopped, I had my talk with him. I said, do you know what drinking is? And he said, yeah, Mom, I know when you're under the influence. And that's when it hit me even more. I was only 2 days sober. And I realized that being irritable and taking out on him to take the garbage down, that didn't need to be done so rapidly. Like, I had to explain to him, Mommy's going through, I didn't say withdrawals, but I was like, Mommy's going through a hard time right now. I'm learning to feel my emotions. And I promised to him that I'm done drinking. I made that promise in person, looked him in the eye. And he was like, it's okay. Like, he was innocent, But he could tell when I was under the influence, it was turning to that point. And I had to make a change for him too, because he can't, I pray on everything that he doesn't follow in that footstep.
Yeah. Well, you're setting the example now.
I'm trying.
You're not trying. You're fucking doing it.
I'm just scared. This is just me being a mom. He just started middle school, so I'm like, what if he meets the wrong person? Life is life.
Life is gonna life, but if you teach him those things that we were talking about, those good morals, those good ethics, those good values, right? And he understands the bad things that could happen. It's like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna give you the freedom to make your choices.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be real with you and explain to you the severity of what could happen. And in your mind, you may think like, oh, it will never happen to me. Yeah. You know what, honey? I said the same thing.
Oh, I really did.
Like, my mom would always say, like, you're just like your father. You're just like your father. You're just like your father. So in my head, not blaming you, Mom. I know you watch all my stuff. But in my mind, I was like, if I'm just like my father, like, who am I trying to kid? I'm just going to start drinking then. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start drugging, because if I'm just like my father and I see who my father is, like, I could put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, it's only a matter of time. Like, let's get the ball rolling on this bitch now.
Yeah.
And so I just, had she had a different talk with me, maybe things would have been different. But I don't blame her, because this is all she knew. And for me to put anger or hatred towards anybody of my past, like, I was given different opportunities and different lessons that I was able to learn through the things that I experienced. But where I am lucky, where I can say my life is lucky, is that I got myself out of it, right? Because we have this, belief that somebody's coming to save you. But if you can't save yourself from yourself, nobody else can save you.
Yeah.
And that's where I draw the fine line. I knew I couldn't help my dad. He was like, I'm a drunk, I'm gonna die a drunk. Never said alcoholic. He was like, I'm a drunk. And he's like, I'm not gonna get better. He's like, I don't want to get better. And I was like, you know what, Dad, I can't see you. I'm like, you could follow me on Instagram. We could talk on the calls, right? Even those calls were really hard for me too. But I was like, whatever, I'm a big girl. Like, I could figure it out. Like, I didn't realize at the time how much those influenced me. But had I just cut him off cold turkey, I think his death would have been a lot harder on me.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But
I don't know.
I talked to him a lot. I have voicemail after voicemail. And he loved me so much, from a drunk's point of view. But I knew that love was real. I knew it was centered somewhere real.
Yeah.
But he had hurt so much. He had his own demons. He didn't deal with them. And I'm like, if I don't change my ways, these small demons, maybe they were big at the time, they're going to be fucking monumental.
Yeah.
If I don't fix it now, if I don't work on it now, it's like anything that you ignore, it doesn't just go away. We don't get like early Alzheimer or freaking memory loss. Like, we just don't. It's like, you will always remember. You may black it out for a point.
Yep.
But it will come back, especially through the lens of sobriety. And once you're able to see yourself clearly and see your life clearly, you're like, wow, if I would have just faced it, if I would have just allowed myself to go through it, I would have gotten out of it.
Yeah, and it could be, for me, it could be also a little influential. Like, I was part of a crew of best friends, and one of them, and it's no hard feelings, we all drifted apart. Life became life, but and my drinking had a part in it. I'm gonna take accountability on that end. But one of them, it was a brother and sister. One of them is, very successful in the Broward County School District. And the other one is a very successful bartender that her dad owns in Coral Springs that I used to go to all the time. And she would used to, hook me up. But I know they both knew the severity of my drinking because they were supposed to come to that party the night my mom died. They were both there that night too. So codependency. I was very close to both of them up until the past 2-3 years. We just drifted apart. I don't even remember initially each one. It was a different, one of them was a drunken fight. I went off on Anna. I said her name. Damn. Love you, girl. If you are even going to watch this, we don't really talk much anymore. But I went off on her at her job at Sharky's, which was completely uncalled for. And it was all because, she cut me off. I was drinking. I was being belligerent. And then they were closing. And then it seemed like I was getting into a Uber with a guy I didn't know. So I wanted Anna to come and save me, but she was working and I was belligerent outside. No, they were trying to just get me home safely. And this random guy was there. And he had nothing to. I don't really know if he had anything to do with this Uber ride.
It's crazy how we make these things up.
I was always delusional when I was drunk.
Yeah.
Worse than sober.
Yep.
But no, that's how that ended up. I came up into her establishment cursing her out. I brought up my son, who was like a nephew to her, and that friendship ended. And she's running the bar still, and I have ran into her recently, and it was actually a very beautiful experience. She even cried when she saw the growth in me. She hugged me, and we said I love you, and we went our separate ways. And then her brother, I was part of his wedding. We just grew apart, and the drinking on my end, I mean, that's bad for him too. I mean, his career, I could get him in trouble while we're out. But that friendship was like grieving. It still feels like grief. Like, I still have, one of them on social media, and I still have, one of their numbers. And I know if something really serious happened between a family member, we would both all be there for each other. But life is so different now.
Yeah.
And I will love them from afar.
Yeah. But,
I'm making new friends, and I still have some of my old ones that have stuck by all the bullshit, and I thank all of you. You guys know who you are. especially someone very special. She helps me with my son. I could cry right now about her. She works out with me. She holds me accountable. I love her very, very much. And she has never judged my drinking. Mm-hmm. She has never judged my drinking. She has always helped me.
Right.
Even though we used to party very heavily as teenagers together before we became moms, we were party friends throughout the years. We both love each other's children. She's like family, and I can't thank her enough for her friendship. Mm-hmm. We might not see eye to eye sometimes, but she really, Kristen, I love you. I love you, Kristen. Thank you for, even though you're not part of Sobriety 7, you're one of my sisters. So, and then I have another best friend, Spoto. I would love to, you are my heterosexual lover. And we are the same person, and you're my therapist, and we may not see each other often, but I thank you for always being there for me. Like, for real. And my son, both of you. So, I want to thank you both. And John again. And Sobriety 7. Mm-hmm. We're all doing this together, and it does get easier. Everybody who's new on this platform, take it from both of us. It really, you start learning who you are and loving life and experiencing life through a sober lens. It gets so much easier and rewarding. Like, yeah. I'm in shock of who I'm like, who is this girl waking up at 4:30 to get ready for a podcast? Mm-hmm. Like, before I would have been hungover last night, I probably would have had wine on a Friday night because it's a Friday night end of the week. Like, come on.
You're in a different place, and I didn't know the person you were before, but I love this version of you. I think that you're amazing. I think that the amount of work you've done on yourself in these past 6 months is almost 6 months is incredible.
October 11th will be 6 months.
It's coming up quick. Our next 3 favorite months. Ugh. It's truly amazing.
It really is amazing. It gets so much easier and better. And like, I don't remember her name, one of the sisters on Sobriety 7. I think she might be new. Mm-hmm. But when you're putting the whole, how are you feeling? Mm-hmm. in your sobriety, and I saw that she's not doing well, and I was like half asleep when I saw that. I planned on writing her today. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, and she mentioned the sleep thing. I'm not sleeping well.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember the first week or two of sobriety and saying to myself, oh my gosh, why am I waking up at between 3 and 5 every morning when I have to go to work and I cannot fall back asleep in sweats?
You remember?
Drenched. I remember it was terrifying, and I would be anxiety. Right. And I'm a cat person, and I'm a huge, not just a believer, it's the actual fact that cats have healing powers through their purring. Mm-hmm. And I have a black cat, a Boo, and I picked him up, and he sleeps at the edge of my foot. And I picked him up, and he laid back right on my chest for a whole week each night, every time that happened to me. And I guess he could feel my heart racing, and my breathing was irregular, and he would just stay there for maybe half an hour and just hard purr. Mm. And a Boo, I'm not gonna cry again. I'm not crying over this. Jesus. A Boo helped me through withdrawals. Mm. And that cat was almost out the door prior to that, actually. He got neutered and then became nice. But I also have my cat, Jasmine, who has been with me since before Gabriel. So she's been with me since I was 19. My whole alcoholism, everything. Jasmine, she's 12 years old.
If that cat could talk.
I say that all the time with John. I don't know if you've seen on my stories, I make my cats talk. Like,
They're cute.
Girl.
If not for our animals, I don't know where we'd be. But at the same time, they've also been our judgers or whatever.
If they could talk. It
would be some stories, but we'll save that for the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll do a whole podcast on that.
Just our animals and holidays. But with that being said, I want to put a pin here in the end of this podcast that we had today with Rachel. Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending an hour and a half with me this morning. I'm looking forward to going to Rose Cafe and just getting some more coffee and enjoying the beach. But I really love how this podcast went. Like, it was really nice to get to know you on a deeper level, and then also just talking about this subject. Like, it truly is my biggest passion, because I want more and more people to see it through so many different perspectives, and to hopefully be able to somehow relate and get the help that it is that they need. Because yes, you could do sobriety on your own, but I do believe that there's a strength in numbers, and we are a lot stronger together. So I hope if anybody is listening to this and you don't feel like you have a family, if you don't feel like you have a community, obviously reach out to Sobriety 7. But there are so many other ways that you could find help if Sobriety 7 isn't for you, but at least give it a try, right? Because there's so many other women just like me, just like Rachel, who are in there, who just want to shed so much love and light on you. And appreciate you all for listening today. And until next time, do you have any last remarks?
Get help if you feel like you can't. You can. Find somebody to talk to. Don't do it alone. I don't recommend it.
She tapped on the legs. That's how serious she is.
She's like, fucking serious.
Get the fucking help. All right. Thank you guys so much.